UFC 317. These are the full card predictions and the betting breakdown. Looking forward to talk about each of the matchups on the card. So make sure you guys smash the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn the post notifications on and make sure you share the video too. And also note, Fight Companion, Saturday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. Don't miss it. I'll be live for the entire card. And also, thank you to everybody who supports. We hit 49,000 subscribers this past Saturday, which was yesterday. So I'm feeling like $1 million right now. Thank you guys. Big W to the community. We're about to jump right into it. Fight number one on the card. Niko Price versus Jacobe Smith. It should be a squash match. Jacobe Smith is expected to absolutely destroy Niko Price within the first 2 rounds. Smith's coming off the big KO, put Preston Parsons out, which I think is relatively impressive. Parsons is a tough journeyman in the welterweight division. He went distance with Oban Elliott. He's done okay in the UFC. I guess it's not, too many crazy positives, but he's a tough customer. Jacobe Smith lays him out and makes it look easy. Jacobe Smith has the wrestling base too. I think these are real strong accolades at 29 coming into a fight with a Niko Price, who I think is beyond his best days. And it's not so much because he's 35. It's just, he had the loss to Themba, close win over Morono. He was out for 11 months. Like these fights here, the Robbie Lawler loss, the Phil Rowe loss. I think Niko Price is towards the end. I've been feeling like he's still fighting and making money, but I don't know how dialed in he is. I'm not saying he isn't training full time. As far as like rate of improvement, like I think Jacobe Smith is one to watch. He's trained at American Kickboxing Academy. He seems like just a, God-given gift of athleticism with knockout ability, with the wrestling base, a seemingly coming together MMA game. Contender series guy. I think he should destroy Niko Price. I think he's going to catch him with big shots on the feet. I think he's going to knock him out. I think if he chooses to, he's going to take him to the ground and beat him up. Niko Price's prime was a while back, and I just feel like he's towards that final blitz, and that's why they're throwing him up against a prospect to watch. He's kind of being used as the opponent here. That's the truth, man. He's a fun scrapper, though. Niko Price is, a good brawler, but a little bit washed, I'd say. And Jacobe Smith on the other side, hungry to move up the ranks. And then you look at the betting lines. They're astronomically wide. We got minus 2,000 odds. Jacobe Smith, disgustingly wide favorite. Niko Price, plus 1,000 underdog. I do think Jacobe Smith deserves to be the favorite. Should he be minus 2,000? He's probably going to start Niko Price in the first, 7 minutes or less, 7.5 or less. So under 1.5, minus 180. I'd say that's pretty realistic. The odds just suck because you can't really do anything with it. And I'm sure the knockout prop is going to be a pretty wide line too. You got to assume that Jacobe Smith is way too fast twitch for Niko Price. Like Price throws a lot of fat on his punches. He's a good inside range scrapper. And at times he's had good moments. Like beating Morono, honestly, was impressive. I didn't even think he'd win that fight. But then he came back and he won there. And then last time Garimbo dominates him, he went distance. But Garimbo doesn't have the punching power or precision of a Jacobe Smith. He doesn't have the wrestling base. He doesn't have the same athleticism. Smith is a good 10-0 prospect. Smith is like a hope for, this welterweight division on the come up right now. He's somebody to watch. And we've seen a lot of savages burst on the scene at 170. I think he could be another one. And it's not like it's just striking and wrestling with Smith. He fucking pounded the shit out of Savoy. His ground and pound game is legit. Top control and pressure is crazy. Athleticism crazy. I'm sure he can outmuscle Niko Price in any position. Is Jacobe Smith by whatever he wants here to start the card off. Next fight, we have heavyweights going after it. We got Jhonata Diniz versus Alvin Hines. I'm picking Jhonata Diniz. I think he's going to torch Alvin Hines. The thing about Hines that I like is his aggressive style, and he comes to fight hard, closing distance with pressure and looking to, brawl on the inside with a little dirty boxing or wrestle. He's got good clinch strength, and he does have a takedown threat, and he trains with Thomas Peterson, who's a heavyweight in the UFC and a wrestler. So he's getting legit training. He's a Minnesota guy, man. So, they got that thick toughness up there in the damn Great White North, but he's taking on a nasty striker, man. Jhonata Diniz is a dangerous kickboxer, former pro, precise puncher, accurate with his shots. He's a little low fight IQ last time out, especially with Tiburi had him hurt early and then ends up going to the ground with the jiu-jitsu ace and gets, dismantled on the mat. But against Carl Williams in the fight before, I have to say, impressive takedown defense for the first 2 rounds. Like he was able to fight off Carl Williams' attacks, and Williams is a strong wrestler and a good athlete too. I think he's faster than Hines as well. So, like a comparison of matchups, I think that Alvin Hines is much more available to be hit by Jhonata Diniz. Hines reminds me of a throwback fighter, reminds me of some early 2000s shit. He's a scrapper coming off a head kick KO. He's got these crazy thick calves and he's throwing up high kicks, which is pretty wild. But he's not going to thrive here against a sharp kickboxer with power. I think Diniz knocks him out. Alvin Hines is going to look to press. He's going to have to try and get this fight to the ground. If Diniz's takedown defense can hold up, I really think it will come down to one shot, and I see Hines getting KO'd. He's a little too reckless on the feet. He's also outsized a bit. You got the height and reach advantage for Diniz. And I think the grappling skill set's got to just keep improving each and every time. And his defense should be good enough to stay on the feet with Hines. But I will say, you think of the Austin Lane fight where he was on his back. That's, worrisome moments early in that fight. Diniz makes mistakes for sure. But I think striking wise, too powerful, too clean. He's gotten better at defensive grappling. And I think he can beat a pressure wrestler brawler like Hines. Plus 240 for Hines, minus 280 for Diniz. Add into it Hines stepping in here, short notice. He's replacing Justin Tafa, who was supposed to fight on the main card against Diniz, which doesn't make any sense to me. I was freaked out by that. I'm more grateful for this matchup. Put him on the prelims. Give Diniz a guy that's hittable. And I think you're going to have a masterclass KO. I think he probably knocks him out in the first round. I'm looking at Hines, and I'm like, I like the aggressiveness. I like the output, but I don't like the availability to being hit. I don't think he's that beastly of a wrestler where I'm like so worried about, if it hits the ground, it's over for Diniz. Like he could get taken down and then he could just get controlled a bit, but I don't think Hines is smashing and passing. I think if anything, he'd get him down and then, control position, and Diniz would kind of just try to neutralize from bottom position. But I don't even think we get there. I think Diniz is going to keep it standing. I think this fight could end early. It could be a, sub 4-minute knockout in early stages of round number 1. I think that Diniz's hands are way too fast. Like watch for a hook, maybe an uppercut in close, could even be an elbow. I just think Diniz is way too nasty on the feet. The ground game might be sus, okay? The ground game might be sus, but it's not like last fight for Alvin Hines over in LFA. It's not like he bulldozed this Billy Ray guy. Like it was a competitive fight. It was 3 rounds of work. And I think that Diniz is a serious level jump than Billy Ray Valdez. So Diniz to get the KO, pretty likely here. Next fight on the card, it's Cedric Dumas versus Jackson McVey. Ooh, I'm going to go with the prospect. I'm going to go with Jackson McVey to beat Cedric Dumas in this fight. I think he's actually got a pretty good chance here. Jackson McVey has, I'd say, a relatively well-versed skill set, but definitely the ground skills intrigue me. Seems to bring a very tricky submission threat. Long arms, right? Skinny long arms. Not as long, I guess, on paper as Cedric Dumas is, but I feel like he's better with the front headlock positions. Also, he's a southpaw, and last fight, Dumas was dropped and hurt bad and eventually finished, even if it was a tad bit early, against Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. McVey on the feet could be live to rip some good shots. Even in close range, he's got good Muay Thai skills, so his tie clinch knees and elbows are pretty nasty. Dumas is a decent fighter, though. I feel like he's overhated a bit for, the outside the cage dilemmas that he fucking constantly runs into, getting arrested. If he seems like every other month. Dumas is a decent enough wrestler. Not extremely high level, but has some takedown threats. He's an okay kickboxer. He does have a really bad habit, though, of dipping his head. And, like, I don't know, that kind of, to me, seems like the perfect chance for a McVey knee up the center or an uppercut. Or even McVey looking to jump on him from there and, like, lock up a front headlock position and shoot a Darce. I think you have to favor the prospect on the rise. McVey seems pretty good. All finishes, fast starter, tricky frame for Dumas. He doesn't do well against guys that are taller than him, like Nursultan Riziboyev, even though there was an eye poke still. And, Josh Frem choked him out a while back. So I'm thinking that McVey's frame is going to be too much for Dumas. When he fights guys, they got a little edge on him in size. I think it's a factor. And I also think submission threat could be live for this kid, too. He's a finisher. I love the style. He's enjoyable to watch. He's aggressive, and, he's training out of the same gym as Charles Johnson. So I think he'll be pretty ready to go. I think he'll look good. And he's also training with Julius Anglicus, who was a, back in the day Bellator heavyweight, or light heavyweight rather. Even odds here. McVey minus 110, Dumas minus 110. At open, Dumas was a minus 150 favorite. Not a crazy surprise, right? McVey coming out of nowhere for this fight. It's not like Dumas is really beating anybody good. And he's not a finisher. I feel like McVey is the opposite, right? He's looking to just get this fight started fast. And I could see him overwhelming Cedric Dumas in the first round. I think the early striking pressure could be too much. I think the southpaw stance is a factor. I think the length is a factor. I think the jiu-jitsu skill set is live here for McVey. I'm looking forward to watching McVey, man. This is an exciting debut. I think he can pass the Cedric Dumas test. I feel like I'm going to go prospect to finish him. I'm feeling like submission. I'm feeling like maybe front headlock position into a Darce, maybe a Gilly. I'm seeing Dumas cotton something. I'm seeing McVey making him uncomfortable and finishing him at some point throughout the fight. So I'm going to go with Jackson McVey. I'm going to go with the debut in Savage. I think the physicality, 6'4", with that 77-inch reach and a good ground game on top of pretty aggressive striking, should be tools that give Cedric Dumas a bit of trouble, man. I'm going to say McVey can do it. He can fight from all ranges, good on the inside, good in the mid-range, good in the long range, and nice jiu-jitsu. I have to favor him. I think he's beating Dumas here. Next fight on the card, we have Terrence McKinney versus Vyacheslav Borshchev. I'm picking Terrence McKinney, but I take a deep breath because there's always this small voice in my head that says, yo, Terrence McKinney outside of the first round has not shown us anything in the UFC. It's really like first round or bust for Terrence McKinney. And Slava Claus is not easy to finish. I mean, if you look at Slava's fights, the only finish loss in the UFC is Chase Hooper, who's got really nasty jiu-jitsu submitting him. And now he fights Terrence McKinney, who is the essence of a quick starter, aggressive striking onslaught, does definitely have explosive power, normally is on one in round one and then falls apart there afterwards. But, you look at some of the opposition. He beats a washed Hadzovic. He beats Marat, who shouldn't have even been in the UFC. He beats Mike Breeden, who's barely UFC level and got cut after beating Anshu Jubli, who's horrendous. Then, you look at a 30-second KO loss versus Ribovics. You look at him getting broken and subbed by Sadikov. It's like, forgivable. Now, there's a lot of red flags around Terrence McKinney. But then you match him up with a one-dimensional Vyacheslav Borshchev, who's 8-5 as a pro, who's a nasty former professional kickboxer. Snapping kicks, pretty good punching skill, but I'd say more the snapping kicks with Slava Claus I worry about. But punch for punch, even though Slava, comes from a higher level background in professional striking, I feel like Terrence McKinney carries a lot more power. I think Terrence McKinney has faster hands. I think Terrence McKinney's the better wrestler for sure, better grappler for sure. I have a hunch that we're going to see Terrence McKinney get this fight to the ground. Vyacheslav Borshchev, even though he's gotten a bit better at takedown defense, it's just not in his nature to be able to defend these takedowns. He's a really good striker, but he's also just not necessarily found his footing even in all these striking fights. Like Tom Nolan beat him super close with Hannes Yantop and obviously Chase Hooper. The Sadikov draws aged well, but it is what it is. Mashate knockout. I feel like Terrence McKinney's going to win by submission. I don't think an 8-5 Vyacheslav Borshchev Slava is taking out T-Rex. T-Rex is one of those guys, burst onto this scene like he was shot out of a cannon and then nearly on his way to taking out a legit Drew Dober. Dober comes back, finishes him, and then it's just been up, down all around for Terrence McKinney. And, second round has been his nightmare. So if we go to round 2, I might be shitting myself. But I think McKinney could catch Slava on the feet, even though, Slava's kickboxing credentials are nasty. Let's not forget Chase Hooper dropped him. And then you got McKinney's ground skills being way too much. Definitely way better at jiu-jitsu. Definitely way better at wrestling. I think Terrence McKinney takes home a finish. I'm feeling like a rear naked choke. But if he knocked out Slava, not the craziest outcome, but I favor the rear naked choke. I think McKinney's ground skills can carry big in this fight. Minus 171 for Terrence McKinney. Vyacheslav Borshchev plus 146. Of course, it's going to be big favorite status on the under. Yeah, minus 171 for under 1.5 rounds. Are we going under a round and a half? I feel like it's a McKinney fight. I lean yes. I lean yes. If it goes to round 2, though, one body kick and it could be wraps. Like we've seen McKinney just fall apart as fights past the 5-minute mark. It's the weirdest thing. But in round 1, he's a savage, man. I think Terrence McKinney handles the Vyacheslav Borshchev puzzle. I'm botching his name now, man. It's a red flag for Slava Claus. I've been saying his name for years. I'm going Terrence McKinney. I'm going to say submission, but I think his hands could be effective in this fight too. I think he starts fast. I think he knows the weakness of Slava. He trains with former Slava opponent a few fights back, Mike Davis, who dominated him with grappling. But I think McKinney can finish the job. McKinney's just got more finishing instincts than a lot of guys on the roster, regardless of the up-down career. I'm going to say Terrence McKinney submits Vyacheslav Borshchev. I think he finishes him in round number 1. I'm going to say Terrence McKinney wins a Terrence McKinney-like fight. Let's keep running. We got Viviane Araujo versus Tracy Cortez. I've been tossing and turning on this fight. I'm going to go with Viviane Araujo. I think I'm going to pick her. Yeah, I'm going to pick her. It's like nothing Tracy Cortez has done has really impressed me all that much. Her striking's okay. She has decent boxing, not overly impressive hands. Her wrestling's pretty decent, but she still was getting taken down by Jasdavicius. We saw her out wrestled by Thug Rose. No, we even saw Melissa Gatto have moments against her. I just don't get the hype right now. I don't get why Tracy Cortez is such a favorite. I get it. She's a lot younger. So if you're just looking at age statistics, you're like, well, younger fighter advantage. It's like Tracy hasn't really done anything in the UFC yet. Besides, be attractive, obviously. Viviane Araujo fraud checked Corinne Silva, who was a really hot prospect. She outworked her in that fight, outmuscled her in that fight. Yeah, she got taken down in the second round too, but was able to finish that fight really strong. Gas tank is there. Strike output is there. Muay Thai ability. Good flurries on the inside. What does Tracy Cortez do that better? Maybe she throws a better straight, better jab. Maybe, though. If they tie up, am I confident that Cortez is hitting the takedowns on Araujo? Not really. I feel like it's going to be a real nitty-gritty fight. I feel like Araujo brings good pressure. She's a high-output, pressure-based Muay Thai fighter, has wrestling threat, has grappling. Tracy Cortez, sound, I'd say, defensively, even though she got caught bad by Thug Rose in that fight. Her wrestling game is decent, and you'd favor her wrestling in certain matchups. But after the Rose fight, I got my doubts, man. I got my doubts about Tracy Cortez. I'm not convinced. It's like this seems like a legit level jump. Like, yes, Thug Rose is nasty and she lost, but after the Thug Rose fight, I didn't think they'd give her an Araujo. Araujo's 2-1 in her last 3. She won as an underdog against Jennifer Maia and then as an underdog against Corinne Silva. Yes, Natalia Silva beat her, but Natalia Silva is the top contender in the weight class. Natalia Silva versus Valentina Shevchenko is the next fight. I feel like Araujo can outwork Cortez. I see it as a coin flip. I see it as one of those fights that, you could argue the Tracy Cortez side. Oh, well, her hands are decent. Oh, she could time some takedowns. She could, but she could also get taken down and outstruck. I like Araujo's aggressiveness. I like that she's coming off of a win. I like her opposition. Obviously, Cortez has fought Jasdavicius and Thug Rose, but Vivi has fought everybody. I feel like she has this late career resurgence that she's on right now. It's physically, she doesn't look removed from her prime at all at 38 years of age. So I'm just supposed to pick against her because Cortez is younger. I just can't sell myself on Cortez. It could go either way. I think it's going to be a decision, 29-28 on either side. I think we're going over 2.5 rounds. I feel like Araujo could win some key striking exchanges, finish the round stronger, and nab a decision. I think 29-28 on either side, though, is most likely. Minus 255 just isn't making sense to me. Why is Cortez such a favorite? She opened at minus 205. I don't get it. Hasn't fought since she got destroyed by Thug Rose. Yes, she beat Jazz Devicius in the fight before, but it's not like I was blown away by the win. That was like 2 years ago. Araujo plus 215. I feel like she's a really live underdog. I can't look past how live of an underdog Viviane Araujo is. In striking, I think she could land some combos. I think she could land some heavy leg kicks. I think she could win the clinch battle. In grappling, I think it's a toss up. Araujo does bring some submission threat. I feel like Araujo is ready to win this fight. I think we're going over 2.5 at minus 600, but I'm going to pick Viviane Araujo by a close decision. I think she nabs 2 out of the 3 rounds. I think she finishes the fight strong. I say she beats Tracy Cortez. I feel like this could end up being like a contentious pick. Only 12% of the people are picking Araujo. 1,500 on Cortez. I guess I just don't see why. I don't get what Cortez does so well that makes her just a clear as day favorite. Like she should be the pick over Araujo. Very strange to me. I'm picking Viviane. I'm going to go with the underdog. I think she's being slept on too. It's women's MMA and shit always goes sideways in women's MMA. So we shall find out, but I'm going to say that Viviane Araujo can pull off an upset here. Next fight on the card. Really good featherweight battle. We have Hyder Amil versus Jose Delgado. I'm picking Jose Delgado. I think Hyder Amil is going to run into somebody who's going to be able to crack him with power shots, is going to be able to time Hyder Amil as he looks to close the gap and get on the inside. Hyder Amil has built the reputation now as like a Chepe Mariscal-esque, relentless, pressure-based fighter. He's constantly in your face. He's constantly pressing you backwards. He's physically strong. He's in great physical condition. Can outwork people in positions on the mat. Doesn't quit on himself in those positions. Does have a good chin. He's a stance switch hitter. Does rip some good hooks over the top. Does flurry shots and then tie up in close pretty well. He's a little pit bull, man. He outworked William Gomez last time, which at the time of it was pretty impressive. Gomez was a clear favorite going into the fight. Bit reckless though. A little bit overrated too, I feel like, because the win over Gomez is like bumped his stock. But like, let's not forget, Gomez won a robbery against Joe Anderson Brito in the fight before. Delgado's a really sharp and nasty kickboxer. He's a Benson Henderson prospect. It gives me confidence in him. I feel like he's going to be able to fight the grappling positions of Amil and land some big counter shots. He's a creative kickboxer with heavy power in his hands. I feel like he's going to be able to hold ground with Amil looking to bully him. I feel like we're going to see Delgado crack Amil with some thunderous shots. And don't doubt Delgado's jiu-jitsu skills. He brings a sub threat. I could see him taking the back of Hyder Amil and choking him out. I could see him rocking him with big punches on the feet. I think this is going to be Jose Delgado, like coming out party type of fight. I think he's too slick and powerful. I think Amil looks to berserk him and just bully him back. And I think he's going to meet a guy that can sit on shots and make you respect his power. And I think for the first time in the UFC career, we might see Hyder Amil force backwards a bit. And if Hyder Amil is going backwards, Jose Delgado is going to be able to rip him apart with strikes. The key is Delgado is going to have to earn the respect of Hyder Amil. Key to that, sit on a big shot. Because Amil, he kind of just closes the gap with reckless abandon. Nobody's been able to keep him off. I think Delgado is the guy to do it. And I think Delgado's jiu-jitsu is legit too. If they go to the mat, I could see Delgado taking Amil's back. I could see Delgado live for a submission against Amil. Rear naked choke makes sense to me. I think Delgado could hurt him with a big shot. Amil does have like a crazy wide chin, so he might be made of fucking iron. But I definitely don't think he has the power to put Delgado away. If Amil's to win this fight, I think it's going to be like, high output, pressure-based striking style, like more so even clinch, dirty boxing striking style. Backing him up, trying to take him down, taking him down. Delgado's forced to fight back up to his feet. Amil does it again. Some key combinations in close and just back with the pressure, back with the pressure. If we talk about striking from the mid-range, Delgado all day. Then you think about the size of the cage. We're in the big cage. We're at UFC 317. We're not at the little apex. I think in the big cage, Delgado's kickboxing could end up really being on display here. So I'm going to say Delgado finds a finish. I think he is live for a knockout, but submission is a possibility. I'll pick knockout officially, but I think sub is not some crazy feat in this matchup. I could see him clubbing and subbing Amil or taking Amil's back. Like Fernie Garcia had Amil's back. He didn't quit on the position, but Fernie ain't no Jose Delgado. Minus 171 for Jose Delgado. Hyder Amil sitting at plus 146. I think this fight ends inside of the distance. Under 2.5, minus 115. I think it probably does. It's a sweaty one. But I think Delgado is the favorite's going to win this, man. And like everybody's picking Amil as the dog. Amil is now everybody's favorite underdog. I don't think so, man. I'm going against the public underdog. I think Jose Delgado is able to crack Amil with some thunderous shots. I think he wins the striking exchanges. I think he fends off the grappling attack. I think he could win the jiu-jitsu battle. I'm going to say Jose Delgado has a, oh shit, he's coming out strong type of performance here. I see him cracking Amil as Amil's looking to close the gap. And I think from there, we might find this fight turns into more distance kickboxing. And that's literally what Delgado's bread and butter of his game is. You give him space, it's over. Amil's got to look to berserk. And I think Delgado can still catch him with the counter as Amil's relentless with pressure. And if Delgado's stopping the clinch battle, right, using that big cage, footwork is on point, I could see Hyder Amil chasing and getting caught by the Matador. I'm going with Delgado KO. Let's go. I'm excited for that fight. It's a really good prospect fight. Next fight on the card. It brings us to the featured prelim of the night. We got Jack Hermansson versus Gregory Rodrigues. I'm going with RoboCop Gregory Rodrigues to win. I think he beats Jack Hermansson here. Reason? Though Jack Hermansson is a relatively sharp striker, he's very technically sound with his kickboxing, and he has a good high guard. I'd say he's also defensively sound too. More of a point striker. Not a lot of power on Jack Hermansson shots. They hit the target, but they don't land with like serious impact. And I think to keep RoboCop at bay, you're going to have to hit him with something hard and make him respect your power. And I know RoboCop's been KO'd. I know last fight he was KO'd by Jared Cannonier, but like, let's not forget about the thunderous power shots he landed early in the fight. RoboCop is like the definition of a heavy hitter. He's a pressure boxing fighter, does have a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, really physically strong. If this fight hits the mat, I think that the grappling of RoboCop could end up being better than Jack Hermansson's. Then add into another positive for RoboCop is we're in a 3-round fight. Jack Hermansson, I feel like more of a 5-round fighter. We saw it against Joe Pyfer. Pyfer started that fight fast. Pyfer did well in the first 2 rounds, and then Jack Hermansson works his way back into the fight and starts taking over. He's very tactical, right? Very high fight IQ, well-versed game. Jack Hermansson knows how to win. But in a 3-round fight, I think RoboCop's going to put pressure on him. I think RoboCop could hurt him with big punches. We've seen Jack Hermansson knocked out, but it's been a long time. Cannonier knocked him out. Thiago Santos knocked him out. There's been moments. Got finished by Roman Dolidze. I think RoboCop's winning this, but I could see him winning it on the cards, man. I could see Jack Hermansson getting outworked the first 2 rounds, landing bigger shots as RoboCop. Maybe Hermansson having a couple moments in round number 3, but not having the power to take over the fight. I think that's like a key difference maker. Jack Hermansson doesn't have that gift of pop. So if RoboCop is able to pressure you with somewhat of a reckless abandon, Hermansson's going to have to try and wrestle. I'm not confident in his ability to take RoboCop down. He's going to have to try and clinch. I'm not confident in his ability to clinch RoboCop up. We might be looking at a RoboCop highlight reel. There's a chance that RoboCop puts Hermansson away. Now, something interesting that RoboCop said, he said that he learned from this past fight against Jared Cannonier about controlling the output a bit, like a little more patience. So he said, expect a more patient RoboCop here. That's interesting too, because I could see that making him, a little more of a tactical threat. Lands a big shot, patient on the onslaught, finds punches, out kickboxes Hermansson, but then has an opportunity to clinch or take him down and then controls. We could see more of a safety first RoboCop taking it on the cards. If he was going berserker mode, I might favor the KO. But because he said that, in the back of my mind, I'm like, huh, I see him outworking Hermansson on the cards. I see him landing cleaner shots. I see him winning the significant strike battle. I see him cracking Hermansson. Like when RoboCop is going to land, it's going to make serious impact. And Hermansson's going to like look, you're going to see him wearing it. Like he's going to look like, oh shit, he's going to wear it on his face with maybe a little swelling or a cut, or he's going to wobble a bit. The force, the impactful shots, the sound of the punches. Whereas Hermansson, he's peppering a stiff jab. He's moving. He's landing a straight. He's doing enough to win, but it's not a 5-round fight. This is not a matchup where I think, he can lose the first 2 and then find a way to wheel himself back in. He can't unless he gets a finish, which I don't think he will. What's he going to do? He's going to submit RoboCop? I doubt it. And I don't think he's knocking RoboCop out. Hermansson does not have the power, man. You look at Hermansson, right? He does have 10 KO wins. But when you think about his style, technical kickboxing against Chris Curtis, technical kickboxing with Pfeiffer, right? Okay, he submitted Kelvin Gastelum with a nasty sub, came back and out wrestled Shabazian after getting touched up on the feet. When's the last time he really knocked somebody out? Right? He's missed the ground and pound. It's not like he's a finisher with strike standing. He's not putting people out with punches. Jack Hermansson is not a heavy-handed guy. RoboCop is heavy-handed, and he's also skillful in kickboxing. He's not just a blitzing power striker. I think RoboCop wins this fight. I lean decision, but KO is live. I'd say KO or decision. I feel pretty good about RoboCop pulling through. Add into it Hermansson. He's been fighting less than once a year for a little while. What was it? 2.5 years ago, he lost to Delidze. And then 1 year and 4 months ago, he beat Joe Pfeiffer. So he's taken these layoffs of over a year between each fight. That's not a good look. 37, but an inactive 37 versus an active 33-year-old that's fighting pretty consistently. We see RoboCop a good amount. I'm going to say that we got a RoboCop impressive win, and I think heavy hands shown. I don't know if I can call the knockout, man. I'm feeling KO or decision because I think we could see RoboCop outwork Hermansson to a unanimous decision, and Hermansson be a little gun shy after getting caught with big shots and, stays in the fight until the end, but's outworked. -193 for RoboCop, Hermansson +168. If it's an over under 1.5, we're blessed. No, it's not. Over 2.5 is -145, under +115. I'd say over 1.5 makes more sense. Over 2.5, probably, because I'm leaning towards this RoboCop decision. But to say that he doesn't have a real possibility of knockout, RoboCop hits with serious force. Every time he lands, it's serious, serious, serious shit. And Jack Hermansson, he's been knocked out. But I'll say that we see RoboCop land more significant shots, tie up when need be, and outwork Jack Hermansson to a dominant decision. I'm going RoboCop to win. I think he's passing the Jack Hermansson test and, getting back on track. He's not going to be far from a ranked fight with his win. I mean, Hermansson was ranked, but inactivity took him out of the top 15. I think RoboCop gets it done. I'm picking RoboCop here. Next fight on the card. It brings us to our main card opener. If you guys are watching and enjoying, make sure you guys smash the like button. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe it up. We got Payton Talbott versus Felipe Lima. I'm going to pick Felipe Lima to beat Payton Talbott. I have to, man. I have to. I think Lima's really good. His ground skills are what carry him, and Payton Talbott's ground skills are what obviously cost him bad against Raoni Barcelos. Like, there's this little piece of me that's like, could Payton Talbott have improved a lot with the grappling defense over the past 5 months? I just feel like, yeah, he could. He could have, but has he improved enough to stop Felipe Lima's grappling onslaught? I feel like no. Lima's also a pretty technical striker. It's not like he's this bum pure grappler, right? It's not like Lima is just jiu-jitsu, just looking to try to drag you to the ground and win. Lima's got a good Muay Thai kickboxing style. Lima's athletic. Lima's sharp with his stand-up. He's an accurate puncher and kicker. And he does also then bring very serious takedown/submission threat. On the ground is where he's going to have a big advantage on Payton Talbott. I will say, striking edge Payton Talbott because of the long-distance kickboxing. Payton Talbott's still got sharp, straight punches. He's got solid teeps up the center. He's got good movement. He's got fast feet. Takedown defense is goddamn terrible, though, against Barcelos. His hands look good in that fight. He looked loose on the feet. He's loose with his punching. He still was landing good shots on Raoni Barcelos. Not like he didn't have striking moments. It's just he got absolutely bullied in the grappling. And can you close that type of gap in 5 months? And then I match you up against Felipe Lima, who's a hot prospect at bantamweight, who has shown good grappling skills, who out-grappled Miles Johns, who's a good wrestler, who out-grappled Muhammad Naimov, who I'd say is a solid grappler, and submitted him to. This is the first time Lima's cutting down to 135 in the UFC. That's something to note. But to be fair, outside of the UFC, it was all bantamweight. I got to go Felipe Lima. I think Payton Talbott's grappling sus. This is Talbot's chance, though, to turn things around. He's fighting a really good prospect. I was surprised the UFC didn't give Talbot more of a layup here. They're like, no, we're gonna feed you to a savage. We're gonna give you a guy who's 14-1 and trains out of All Stars, is a super hype Brazilian prospect on the rise right now that everybody's got an eye on, who's 2-0 in the UFC and who's beaten better guys than you have beaten. Like, let's compare resumes. Payton Talbot's wins are Giannis Gamori, who is shit, and Cameron Simon, who turned out to be shit, and Nick Aguirre, who turned out to be shit and won the first round with grappling. And then it's a terrible loss to Barcelos, getting out muscled in the grappling throughout the majority of the fight. Besides, some striking moments, but ultimately he got fucked up on the ground. And I got Felipe Lima, who's beaten good guys. I can't pick against Lima as a prospect. I think Lima drags his fight to the ground. I don't like the 4-inch height advantage for Talbot on the side of Lima. The 2-inch reach advantage is less of a factor, right? But the length of Talbot is definitely a problem. He's skinny with long arms. It's just I think Lima's gonna get to the takedown, man. He's got to be watching tape on that Barcelos fight, thinking, "Yo, I can get this guy to the ground." And I feel like Lima being primed and hungry, like I could see him fast to the transitions of back takes. I know Barcelos is a good wrestler, but I never felt like he was that amazing with his jujitsu. Like I feel like Lima actually has like slick transitions on the mat. I could see him taking Talbot's back. I see him winning the grappling battle, man. I'm gonna go with Felipe Lima. I feel like Payton Talbot lands some interesting punches though in the fight. I'll say that maybe Lima's a little bit uncomfortable on the feet at some point, but ultimately I think that he's gonna win the grappling battle by a pretty substantial margin. I don't think 5 months is enough time to close the gap. I think this is a management mistake. If I was on Payton Talbot's management, genuine, I would tell you, I would lean towards saying, let's take a little step down in guys that can wrestle real well or grapple real well. Somebody that's okay there. But Lima seems to be excellent. Lima's an amazing prospect to watch right now. This is a true prospect fight. You get the prospect who was fraud checked versus the prospect who's 2-0 in the UFC, beating good fighters in his first two UFC fights. I just can't pick against Lima. I think he's too special of a talent. Payton Talbot, precise puncher, sharp kickboxer, and fun to watch, but he's going to get out grappled. Minus 200 for Felipe Lima, Talbot plus 170. I think Lima's going to win by submission. Maybe a decision too, though, to be fair. I could see him, just outworking him in the grappling, but I'm going to lean towards the sub being live. Because it's not like Lima doesn't have decent Muay Thai skills. Like his strikes on the inside are dangerous. Yes, from long range, Talbot's got an edge. But if Lima's able to close the gap a bit, like I think he'll be all right. Minus 180 for the over 2.5. Possible to go over. I think it's submission or decision for Lima. I could see him strangling Payton Talbot, but I could also see him winning a hard fought decision. You might say, oh, well, he didn't sub Miles Johns. Yeah, but Miles Johns like short, stocky. It's like, how do you submit a guy like that? You got to hit him with a perfect arm triangle, which Lima didn't. I think the superior grappling of Lima, and I think an ability to at least strike within reason with Payton Talbot and potentially use striking to land takedowns is going to be enough of a difference maker, man. I think Lima's taking Talbot out. I think Talbot's going 2 down in a row. Yeah, too much of a competition jump. I think it's a mistake. I think it's a mistake, man. I think the UFC should have gave Talbot something a little lighter. He's still got a fan base. But after the shit that was going on throughout the social medias with the vape through the butt thing that was spreading like wildfire, the UFC is like, yo, we're feeding you another angry Brazilian. Here's another one. Felipe Lima's not fucking around. Felipe Lima's gonna take Payton Talbot down and beat him up and potentially strangle him. I'm going with Felipe Lima. I'm going with the grappling skills and an ability to strike too. And if you look at Lima, I mean, the dude's in fucking amazing shape. He can grapple hard for 3 rounds. And I'll tell you this, might be better at 135 than 140. Definitely possible. Next fight on the card, we have Beneil Dariush versus Renato Moicano. Oy. Oy. Beneil Dariush is going to win. I'm picking Beneil. I'm picking Beneil. It came out of me. I said to myself, yo, with this one here, you're going to have to just wait and see how you feel in the moment. I think Beneil Dariush is winning. The first time they were booked, when Renato Moicano was, I can't afford to lose my brother. Fuck this shit. Motherfucker. Can't afford to lose. And then he's going out there and, getting destroyed by Makhachev. Before that, though, I was like, this guy can't afford to lose. And I was like, hungry Moicano who's yet to taste that big fight. But now, after seeing him get handled easily, I get it. Makhachev's fucking sensational. But Beneil Dariush, say what you want about his last two performances. Bad knockout loss to Charles Oliveira and Arman Saruki. Man, those are the top 4 in the fucking lightweight division. And I'm supposed to just, say, well, Dariush is lost. Moicano's going to knock him out. Renato Moicano, I've picked as an underdog. I called him against Benoit Saint-Denis, but I live in the real world. Saint-Denis was starting to come on. If it wasn't for the doctor's stoppage, I don't know how that fight would have gone afterwards. He pulls off the finish of Jalen Turner in a comeback after getting dropped violently. Beneil Dariush is a southpaw. Beneil Dariush's striking isn't bad at all. He's got a good left straight on him. Good little looping left he likes to throw. Wrestling skill set is solid. He does everything well. Beneil Dariush, exceptional on the ground, at least in his prime. And it's like, if I'm picking against Beneil, and I'm really confidently picking against him, I feel like then I have to push an argument that there's nothing left in the tank. He's completely washed. The 2 losses in a row, the chin is gone. But I don't know for sure. Like, Arman Sarukian can crack, right? Charles Oliveira can crack. Money Moicano isn't a puncher. Money Moicano has decent Muay Thai. He's got a decent little straight right. He's got some solid kicks. He's got good takedowns normally. In most of his fights that he wins, there's an advantage in grappling. He doesn't have that advantage here. Then I think about the striking. I guess you could say Moicano probably takes a better punch than Dariush, but does he have the power to deliver the knockout on Dariush? Like, if Dariush is completely gone and the chin is just washed, Moicano could knock him out with the right hand. Straight right, orthodox southpaw, right down the center, down goes Dariush. But if it's not, and it's just 2 perfect shots have landed on him recently, and he's had some time to recover, year and 6 months, when you get knocked out like that, maybe not a bad idea to take that year and a half off. And obviously, he was waiting to fight before Moicano stepped in and fought Makhachev. Dariush is ready to go. I think the longer time off is better for him. I think Dariush can make this a grimy fight. I think he can out-wrestle Renato Moicano. I think in the striking, Dariush could win the boxing exchanges. I think he's better at boxing than Renato Moicano. I'm going to pick Beneil Dariush to win a competitive fight. To see a hard-fought decision between the two. I don't think Moicano is submitting Dariush. I don't think Dariush is submitting Moicano. I can see Dariush landing takedowns on Moicano. Like, if I'm rating it, saying the jiu-jitsu is competitive, I'd say the wrestling of Dariush is better. I would say Dariush's boxing is better, with the flip side of that being his chin is not as good as Moicano's. And it's not like Dariush has heavy power. But then it's like Moicano is not that precise with punching, and he's pretty stiff. Like, I could see Dariush clobbering him with a big left. I could see Dariush clobbering Moicano with a big left, not knocking him out, but then landing a takedown. And I could see Dariush planting himself on top of Moicano. It's like, this is the type of matchup that I think Dariush can still pull through, right? Not a guy with explosive striking. Not a guy with crazy athleticism. Somebody that normally wins using their superior jiu-jitsu skills. And then you're going to match up Moicano's jiu-jitsu with Dariush's jiu-jitsu. That grappling battle is competitive. And I think you have to assume Dariush is the guy in top position in those grappling battles. I see him as the better wrestler. I think Dariush wins a close fight. I think Dariush wins a close fight, or Moicano just drops him a one shot, or maybe subs him and Dariush is just washed. And after, we're like, wow, I just picked somebody that's completely washed. But they're the exact same age. Similar experience level. Dariush got 2 more fights. Like Benny Dariush can get this one against Money Moicano. This is not the can't afford to lose Moicano. This is the Money Moicano superstardom. super popular online, but it's like his wins don't sell me on a W against Dariush. If Dariush throws big left hands, they can land on Moicano. If they grapple, Dariush can end up on top. I'm going to pick Beneil to find a way. I don't feel like he's gone completely. I think just his last two losses looked really bad and have us believing he's more washed than he is. Like Dariush was on a tear for a while, and then he ran into two of the best in the fucking lightweight division and lost. I'm going to say Benny Dariush gets it done by decision. I'm going to go Dariush. Scary Dariush pick. Plus 125 for Dariush. I'm worried about the chin, though. Minus 145 from Moicano. I'll say Dariush finds a way by decision. I think hard fought back and forth. The over is plus money. It's a sweaty over for good reason because Moicano could land a big right and choke Dariush out in a club and sub. Like, that's not crazy at all. I just think that, like, even at 36 and even looking kind of past his best days, at least physically, is Dariush, looking at his gray beard and hair, the grappling's going to be like the last thing that goes. And Moicano not being a nasty boxer makes me think, I think Dariush is all right. I'm going to say Beneil Dariush wins the decision. I think hard fought W, but I think he gets past Money Moicano in this fight. Next fight on the card, featured fight of the night. We got Brandon Royval versus Joshua Van. I have been picking Joshua Van since they announced this fight a couple of weeks ago. And for good reason. I think Joshua Van's boxing is a massive advantage in this fight. He's got a lot faster hands than Brandon Royval. Royval's got tricky striking. You have to watch for his knees up the center. You have to watch for his unorthodox attack, watch for the spin attacks, watch for the elbows in close. There's definitely a dangerous element to Brandon Royval from all areas, but especially in close range. The problem I have is I think that Joshua Van's hand speed is going to be a gap difference. Like, you're going to see a noticeable edge towards the hand speed of Joshua Van as opposed to Royval. And I know some people like to use MMA math and they're like, oh, well, Charles Johnson knocked him out a year ago with an uppercut. Fair. But Charles Johnson with his punching specifically is more fast twitch and accurate than Royval is with his punching specifically. Just punching for punching. I think it's a lot less likely that Royval would catch Joshua Van with a similar uppercut to that. And then add on top of it that you have to assume Joshua Van learned from that fight and isn't going to be as excessive with the dips. Like, obviously, he likes to dip and rip, and it definitely works. Like, he'll rip low to the body, and that's when Royval could try to time knees up the center. But I think that Van mixes it up with his boxing combinations better than pretty much everybody at 125. And I think you're seeing with this new generation, guys like Jack Della Maddalena and Ilia Topuria, multi-shot combinations. It's not 1, 2, 3. It's the 4, 5, 6. I think Van can get combos rolling here. I think that Royval, he's going to struggle to take Van down. I have a hard time envisioning Brandon Royval bullying Joshua Van and grappling. Now, I will say, Brandon Royval standing back take possibility. Scary position for Van. Brandon Royval's got long arms and legs, and if he takes the back of Joshua Van, I don't care how solid the defensive abilities of Van seem to be, he could get subbed up. Brandon Royval is legit with his jiu-jitsu. But I have my doubts on his ability to get it there with the big cage being a factor, Joshua Van's boxing attack being a factor. This incredible 4-fight streak he's put on in less than a year where he seems to be blossoming as a top contender at just 23. Like, Joshua Van has that thing. I've been feeling like he had that thing since he got signed to the UFC. It's like Joshua Van, he's got a gift of boxing, low kicks, body shots, grappling defense, and timing. Brandon Royval brings the chaos factor, and Royval is fun to watch. Brandon Royval is awesome. I picked him as an underdog against Tyra, so it's not like I doubt him in a lot of fights. But 3 rounds against Van, like, if it was a 5-round fight, I could see Brandon Royval maybe taking it 4 and 5 being key rounds for him, or finding a big shot in round 4, or finding the back in round 4. But in a 3-round fight, I have to favor a Joshua Van who showed last time that he's starting a lot faster. For a long time, he was giving up the first round, making reads. But against Bruno Silva, he started quick. And I think he's got to be, thinking to himself here, I got to start fast. I got 3 rounds against Brandon Royval, one of the best in the game. I think Joshua Van finds a way to win. I think his hands are a big factor. I think he cracks Royval with some big punches. I think Royval has moments in the fight, but I think Joshua Van's frame, his timing, and his natural athleticism get him by a serious test against Brandon Royval on the cards. I think body work's a factor. I think multiple punches up high is a factor. I think Royval with the unorthodox striking definitely is going to bring some threat to Van. I'm not saying he lands nothing in the fight. I could see a nasty elbow cutting Joshua Van on the inside. Van seems to have a great chin, obviously, aside from the Charles Johnson uppercut. To be fair, though, if you go back and rewatch, like Van was starting to get up. Like, I don't think Royval is catching him with that shot. What is he going to knock him out like he did Matthias Nicolau with the knee? I think in a 5-round fight, we're having maybe a bit of a different conversation, but this is like a 3-round wonder zone for Van. I think this is like a best case scenario for Van because, realistically, if this fight was to be booked at any other time, I see it as like an Apex Fight Night main event. And I think at the Apex, 5 rounds, you favor Royval to find a way to close the gap and get this fight to the ground. But in the big cage, 3 rounds, faster pace, I favor Van. I like this matchup for Joshua Van. I'm picking him to beat Brandon Royval. I think he's the hottest prospect at 125, maybe ever. And I think he gets past the Brandon Royval test here and pulls off the biggest win of his life and, career-changing, life-changing, and probably title shot earning with a W. Minus 115, close odds for Van. Minus 105 for Royval. Deserve to be close odds. They should be close odds here. Van, you could even find him as a dog at open. Joshua Van was a minus 260. I never understood that. I remember when I made that early prediction and reaction video, I said to you guys, I'm like, yeah, I think he'll be a plus something on the dog slight. And then he ends up opening up as a big favorite. That surprised the hell out of me. So a lot of love on the Brandon Royval side while he was an underdog. Now we're at even Stevens. I think Joshua Van takes it on the cards. I think we do go over 2.5. I think minus 250 over 2.5 is very live. I think Van taking 2 out of 3 rounds is live. He looked amazing against Bruno Silva earlier this month, literally 2 weeks ago. Okay, so like that. Felt like it was just yesterday we were watching that fight. Performance of a lifetime. Fastest start that he's ever showed. Boxing looked more precise than ever. He destroyed Bruno Silva, then knocked him out in the 3rd round. Yes, this is the biggest fight of his life, but I really think that he's ready for this matchup. Stylistically, I think it favors Van. The big cage, better for Van. 3 rounds, better for Van. I think Brandon Royval gets outworked, man. He's coming off of that 5-round war with Tyra, 5-round war with Moreno, 5-round battle with Pantoja. It's 5 rounds in the past 3. Now he's making this quick adjustment to going in a 3-round fight with Van. I got to go Van. And he was supposed to fight Beneil Cop. Not a crazy shift in opponent because, both are slick strikers. But I will say Van boxing on the inside, the way he rips combination shots, a little different than Beneil Cop, who peppers good straights and closes the gap quickly, but still has more of like a kickboxing flow to his game. Van comes from the Myanmar blood, man. He's got Lethwei in his veins. You understand what Lethwei is? That's a crazy sport they do. The Burmese boxing. They wear just wraps. They go at it bare knuckle with headbutts and everything. There's like no rules there. You get hit in the back of the head, and if it goes distance, it's a draw, knockout or nothing. You get 2 minutes to recover from knockouts, which is crazy as well. I'm going to go with the Myanmar blood. I'm going to say Joshua Van gets past the true biggest test of his life. And I think he beats Brandon Royval on a back-and-forth decision and what's a badass flyweight fight. Could potentially be the fight of the night, too. I'm hype as hell for this matchup. 10 out of 10 flyweight fight, and Joshua Van, an absolute savage for being willing to take a chance like this against somebody that has been doing this for a damn long time. 2 weeks notice against Brandon Royval, who's been on the roster forever, who's fought for the title, and who's on a roll right now, winning 2 in a row. I think Joshua Van's timing is money. I'm going Van for the W. Top contender fight for sure, too. Next fight, the co-main event, flyweight championship. We got Alexandre Pantoja versus Kai Kara-France. I got to go with Alexandre Pantoja to do it. I got to say, I think Pantoja can get past the Kai Kara-France puzzle and shit. If Joshua Van wins, Van and Pantoja is a crazy fight. Alexandre Pantoja is getting to the point where he's lapping the division. He fought Kai Kara-France way back in 2016. And Kai Kara-France, always a tremendous striker. Okay? I watched that season of Tough. His hands, nasty. Precise punching. knockout power. Kai Kara France rips hooks. Very rare ability at flyweight. Not many guys carry that type of punching power. The way he put out Urseg last time was terrifying. The thing is, Alexandre Pantoja has an unreal chin. Dude is in insane physical condition. Like, we'll compare it to like Marab level physicality. Strong wrestling, nasty Brazilian jiu-jitsu, good flurrying hooks, does things unorthodox that like don't make sense. Like he leaves his head there to be hit, eats shots, and then just wings big punches or times takedowns. I feel like Alexandre Pantoja has truly entered like that championship greatness category, and I've faded him. I've picked against Pantoja. I've argued the other side a lot. And Steve Ursay gave him a run for his money, but still Pantoja found the one. Brandon Royval, run for his money. Still, Pantoja comes out on top. Moreno, run for his money in the trilogy. Still comes out on top. Last time, submits Kai Asakura. They flew out the Japanese savage from Ryzen for some new blood at the top. And he doesn't even get out of the second round. Alexandre Pantoja has an exceptional ability to get fights to the ground and take the back. Nasty with back control, nasty with the rear naked choke threat, but he can control all night if need be. Then when you talk about the striking, Alexandre Pantoja is a deceptively good stand-up fighter. Unorthodox Muay Thai, he'll wing shots at times, but they work. Yes, Kai Kara France on the pads is going to look sharper. Less fat on his punches, more technically sound, the nasty counter hooks. But just because Kai flatlined a dangerous Steve Urseg last time, it's not like I'm thinking to myself, well, every time Kai Kara France hits you, people go down. Say what you want. Oh, he got robbed with Albazi 2 years ago. Okay. But it was still a pretty tit for tat and competitive fight. Albazi still had him in compromised positions on the ground. Sure, Kara France fought out of those positions and had moments too, and Kara France should have won the decision. But I'll be damned if you have Pantoja taking your back, I don't think you're spinning out. If Pantoja takes Kara France's back, it could be wraps. What's interesting is Kara France is the legit top contender, but he's 1-2 in his last 3. The loss before then was nearly 3 years ago when Moreno finished him. He landed some good shots on Moreno, but then the body work from Moreno was unreal there. I'm going to say Alexandre Pantoja can do enough to win. I think he can land key takedowns. I think Kara France looks sharp in some striking exchanges, but I think Pantoja is just relentless. I think Pantoja takes his back, wins the grappling battle. I could see Pantoja sinking it under the neck. I feel like Pantoja has like truly hit his stride right now. And I've doubted him for a long time, and he proved me wrong a shitload. I'm not going to doubt him here. I'm going to say Alexandre Pantoja, submission or decision, but something's telling me rear naked. I think he's going to get Kai's back, and I think he's going to finish the fight with a choke. I see Kai landed some decent shots early in the fight, but I think Pantoja walks through him. I think Pantoja drags Kai to the ground. I think Pantoja actually hits Kai with some decent looping punches as well in the striking. Like I'm saying, Kai is sharper, but Pantoja can walk through fire and then land big shots of his own. I'm going Alexandre Pantoja. I'm going to say and still champ. I'm going to say he's live for the submission too. I think Kai's going to land some thunderous punches, but it's not going to be enough. He's not going to get the knockout of Pantoja. And Pantoja's in great shape, ready for 5 hard. I think he outworks Kai Kara France and eventually finishes him and, is able to beat him for a second time. The Ultimate Fighter many years ago, Kai now looking to come up and take out Pantoja, who, became a dominant champ and is now like in the GOAT conversation. I still don't think he's more of a GOAT than Mighty Mouse. But I don't think Kai Kara France passes the test, man. I'm going Pantoja. I think he wins the key moments. I think he gets on top. I think he out-grapples Kai Kara France. I think the gas tank is a factor. He's able to keep a high pace. I think Kai hits him with big shots, but Pantoja walks through him. And I don't think Kai's stopping all the takedowns coming his way. I think he'll stop some. But at some point, Pantoja's going to get his back. And I think that could be the death of Kai Kara France. I'm going Alexandre Pantoja and still. He's minus 250 as a fat favorite here in this matchup against Kai. Plus 210 for Kai Kara France. Let's see what the over sits at here. Over 3.5, minus 130. Over is danger territory. What's the sub? They already got props out. Look at this. Pantoja by sub sitting at plus 200. I think he wins by sub. Plus 185 for decision. I mean, it's submission or decision. Those make the most sense to me. Something's telling me we got violence. Something's telling me we got violence in this fight here. And I think Alexandre Pantoja puts on. I think he gets the key win. I think he submits Kai Kara France. And then Pantoja is in this unreal position where it's like he could try and force that jump up to fight Marab in a super fight. Obviously, Sandhagen first, but assuming Marab passes that test. If not, I mean, you got Joshua Van fighting in the fight before. That'd be a nasty new challenge for him. And it's not a rematch finally because it's been just rematch city for Alexandre Pantoja. Even this fight, not officially a rematch, but it is. They fought in an exhibition bout. Like they fought. It was a while back, but they fought. It's not like they never fought, you know? They've done the dance before. They faced off against one another. I told you, been doing this forever, man. Holy shit. I remember watching this tough season live back in 2016. And look at how well all of the fucking high level contestants have done. That's pretty amazing. Built some like legit flyweight competition for the UFC. It blew the division up. It saved the fucking weight class. Alexandre Pantoja, and still, I'll say submission too, rear naked. Let's jump to the main event. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We got Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira. I'm picking Ilia Topuria to defeat Charles Oliveira and become the new lightweight champ. It just seems undeniable at this point. I think Ilia Topuria catches Charles. The boxing skills of Topuria are unmatched. I was talking about Topuria earlier with multi-shot combinations. The way he strings his punches together, I think is going to be a valid factor. I think he's going to catch Charles Oliveira with something massive. I don't think Oliveira can eat a clean hook from Topuria. I think that the boxing skills of Topuria are just too sharp. I see him cracking Charles in that red zone. He works his way on the inside. Some head movement as Charles looking to throw. And then I think Topuria just crushes him with a big punch. And I think he finishes him off with some ground and pound. I see Oliveira going out. Charles Oliveira, too, like, yes, he controlled Michael Chandler and outworked him, but it wasn't the best Charles we've ever seen with Michael Chandler last time. It didn't look great. And then the fight before then gave Arman Sarukian a war, threatened with submissions, made that a badass back and forth fight. But something tells me Ilia Topuria is a different breed. Knocked out Max Holloway, first man to chin Holloway in the UFC, did violent damage to him, knocked out Volkanovski, too. It goes from Volkanovski, right? And then he fights Holloway, a former loser against Volk, but an all-time great. Now he's fighting Charles Oliveira, who, you know, if you're talking about weird shit in the game, random facts, Charles Oliveira lost to Max Holloway with that weird throat injury. And then after this one, maybe it's Justin Gaethje, a guy who Charles Oliveira beat. But I think that Ilia Topuria's hands are too much, and it's not like he can't grapple either. I know that Charles has got great Muay Thai. His counter left hook is nasty. He's got good high kicks. He's got threatening knees. He's got nasty submissions. But I don't see him submitting Ilia Topuria. I don't see him out wrestling Ilia Topuria. I see him forced into a striking fight with somebody that has terrifying knockout power, precise punch combinations, and just unreal confidence right now at 16-0. Featherweight champ, vacating the belt, moving up. Charles Oliveira, 35. Topuria, 28. This seems like kind of the battle of time, the battle of generations. Oliveira representing the old guard and the all-time lightweight greats versus Topuria running through that featherweight division, becoming the champion. Now saying, I'm done with this weight cutting thing, jumping up to fight at 155. Obviously, he was chasing the Makhachev fight. Doesn't get that. He gets a former Makhachev victim, but he does get a former champ and a superstar in Charles Oliveira. I think this is the Topuria showcase fight. I think Topuria is like putting himself into the Hall of Fame right here. I feel like he kind of already is because he's beaten both of the GOATs in the featherweight division. And now he fights Charles Oliveira, and I think he's going to starch Charlie O. The body work of Topuria could be a factor, but I see a big hook over the top. Like, I see Oliveira wobbled. Punches over the top land, and, like, if Topuria is also willing to follow him up and go on the ground with him, Topuria could smash Charles with ground and pound shots. The guys that give Charles a ton of trouble are guys with big power in their hands and confidence with him on the mat. I know for a fact Ilia Topuria would be confident grappling with Charles Oliveira too. It's not like Topuria isn't legit with his ground skills. Wrestling-based, nasty grappling game. Slick boxing skills, unreal timing on his shots, good feints, good head movement. I just think he's got like too many layers to his stand-up game. Whereas Oliveira, yes, it's big counter shots, but it's extreme hitability. It always has been. Prime Oliveira was taking bombs all the time against Gaethje and Poirier, against Michael Chandler the first time, even Michael Chandler the last time. And now he's 35. He looked a little iffy with Chandler last fight. I think this is Topuria's time. But obviously, you know, Oliveira dominated Chandler, but still, it wasn't like this amazing performance. Patty looked better against him. I think Ilia Topuria is knocking out Charles Oliveira, and we're looking at what this fight truthfully is, and it's a showcase fight for Ilia Topuria. It's International Fight Week, the biggest event of the year so far. All the eyes on the UFC. Topuria representing the new generation, a new face running this lightweight division, superstar status already. Minus 425. Topuria is a huge favorite. This should be a knockout. Plus 325 for Charles Oliveira. I'm feeling like it could end up being a first-round knockout. Could he take longer to make his reads? Sure. But KO seems like a damn near guarantee in this matchup. Let's see what we're looking at here. Let's see. Anything looking good? What's coming through here? Anything? Anything catching my eye? Let me scroll down. Topuria by knockout, minus 160. That makes the most sense. I think Topuria as a fat favorite is getting the punch combinations flowing. I think he's ripping Charles Oliveira with nasty shots on the feet, and I think he's melting him. I think the left hook over the top, I think it could be a right over the top, an overhand right. Oh, I see Topuria even getting ripped by a body shot hurt, and then Topuria cracking him with that lead hook. I think Charles Oliveira is going to be a sitting duck for power shots and striking, and I don't think he's going to be able to out-grapple Topuria. I think he's going to have to try and wrestle, but I think Topuria stops the takedowns. And then I think after Oliveira shot like a panic takedown, Topuria's accuracy is going to look so nasty. His punches are going to look so sharp. He's going to look so clean on the feet, and I don't think Charles Oliveira is going to have an idea on what to do. And I think he's going to fall apart. I think he's getting melted. I think he's getting TKO'd. I think he might get knocked out flat, but I could see him getting cracked by a big shot going down, and then Topuria with the ground and pound, and the ref jumps in. I think we see Oliveira potentially go back to his old wilting ways from way back. Not saying he's a quitter like Michael Chandler does, but I think when Topuria rips him with power shots that he hasn't felt before, I think he's going to go down, and I think he's going to stay down. I'm going Ilia Topuria by knockout in the main event to become the lightweight champion. There should be levels to the striking. Topuria can match the grappling. Topuria, I think, can definitely match the wrestling. And I think as far as punch power and boxing skill set goes, too clean of a combination puncher. Charles Oliveira is getting caught with something on the feet. Too much of an ability to mix it up high and low. Charles is getting caught on the feet. I don't think Oliveira is pulling a high kick out of his ass or a flying knee. Those are maybe chance shots that he'll throw out, but I don't think they land. I think Charles is a sitting duck for Topuria's nasty boxing. And I think, unfortunately, Charlie O is KO'd in this fight. I'm going Ilia Topuria and new in the main event of UFC 317. Guys, let me know in the comments what you think of the predictions. I'm curious what you guys are thinking, especially for some of these more like hotly contested matchups that feel like more 50-50s. I want to hear the takes of you guys, obviously for the big fights, but Dariush, Moicano, Hyder, Amil versus Delgado. Shit, I'm even curious to hear you guys' take on Dumas versus McVey. So definitely let me know down in the comments which lean you guys are on. Let me know if you agree with your boy. Drop a W in the comments if you got nothing to say. I hope you guys enjoyed this UFC 317 breakdown. W to the community. I love each and every one of you savages. Thank you guys for watching. Smash the likes on your way out. If you're new to the channel, subscribe it up. Turn the post notifications on because you don't want to miss a video or live stream. I got content coming every single day of the week. Live streams and videos aplenty. All right? So keep it locked in with me. And thank you to everybody watching. W to you guys. Share the video if you really enjoyed it too. You send it to a group chat. Send it to a grandma, whoever you got. They might want some UFC takes. I got you. Thanks for watching, people. I'll see you all later. Much love. Peace out.